Good evening. So I wanted to check in with you because we've got some major stuff going on universally and planetary wise, and you may be feeling it in your physical body. So what we've got coming up is on the 5th of June, we have have to check all this, Sagittarius full moon with the lunar eclipse. Now, when you get an eclipse on top of a full moon, and we've got 2 eclipses in June, in fact, we've got another eclipse in July as well, we're going to have even more discombobulation on a cellular level, okay? So we've got the 5th of June, if you want to put it in your diary, we've got the Sagittarius full moon with a lunar eclipse. On the 21st of June, we've got the Cancer new moon, and that's also got a solar eclipse attached to it. And then on the 4th of July, we have another a Capricorn full moon with another eclipse, a lunar eclipse. So eclipses occur on full moons and new moons, as you can tell. And they add an extra edge to the impact of the moons. Now, just to do a recap, if you haven't listened or watched my videos before, the reason why we need to pay attention to the moon phases and things like eclipses, things like solar flares, things like Schumann resonance spikes, and also astrologically what the planets are doing is because they have an incredible impact at cellular level. Why do they have an impact at cellular level? It's because they have a tidal effect on anything fluid. And remember, we're 70 to 80% fluid. So the impact of the moon phases, particularly the full moon, will stir your system up. So if you're dehydrated, you're going to have a concentration of toxicity inside the cell or around the cell. And with the pulling effect of the moon, it's going to make it more uncomfortable. It's going to concentrate that toxicity inside the cell. Super uncomfortable during a full moon. So I don't know how you're feeling right now. I've been feeling quite headachy this last week, quite discombobulated. So anybody who's watching, if you want to comment, hi Vicky, how are you feeling? Now let's just broaden up this whole story a little bit. So basically in December, we had a huge surge of an energy shift. We have a massive planetary shift going on. As you can see, there's all sorts of events going on in the world that are quite unusual and that are shaking us up. And so it's really, the reason I've jumped onto this Facebook Live tonight is really to give you a heads up for June, because it's going to be super powerful, super strong. If you're not already feeling the vibes, you're going to feel them now. Now, what's happened also is that we've moved into the age of Aquarius. That was back at the beginning of April, which again, all of this change that's happening on a planetary level and on a universal level, and with the impact of the moons, with the impact of the different planets interacting, the Saturn-Pluto conjunctions, etc., it creates a huge stirring up of our systems. This is an opportunity to clear our toxic load. It's like, the only way I can describe it is that we are literally being shaken up so hard that something has to drop. And so when we're getting shaken up like this and the energies are moving and the whole universe is raising its resonance, so the planet's resonance is trying to rise, or it's going to rise whether we like it or not, and it literally stirs up our physical body and really shakes us up. Now, the problem is, if our physical vehicle is not in a position to cope with that stirring up, it is going to feel super uncomfortable. So what are the kinds of symptoms you're going to suffer from? Headaches, tiredness, achy joints, poor sleep, aggravation of symptoms you already have. So if you have menopausal symptoms, you might be having more hot flushes, more night sweats, the list could go on. I'm sure I'll think of more things. Do comment in the comment box if you're having any symptoms you want me to explain for you. So this is this massive stirring up that's going on. It's an invitation by the universe to clear our toxic load. And how do we do that? So I will go into that a little bit in a minute. So when I first started this Facebook Live, I really would super encourage you to write these dates down in your diary. Start really getting noted in your diary when the full moons are going to occur. The new moons are much more gentle. They still are an invitation to create changes if we need to, but a new moon tends to have an abundance of negative ions, which on a physical level can be quite positive. There might be other things going on a mental, emotional level. Setting your intention for the month can be very good. So really looking at the impact of these power points in the month when you can really take care of your system or do a deep dive into detoxifying your system and rebalancing. So like I said, 5th of June, we have a massive full moon with a lunar eclipse attached to it. So let's really see some massive change going on. I mean, if you get affected by the full moon, if you find you don't sleep well, or you get an irritation of allergies, you get itchy skin, you don't sleep so well, they will likely be aggravated unless you are doing some of the things I'm going to tell you to do in just a minute. So we've got 5th of June, full moon with the eclipse attached to it. So super powerful. It's a Sagittarius full moon, which is a fire sign. So lots of energy attached to that. And we've got the 21st of June for the Cancer new moon with a solar eclipse attached to that. And we have the 4th of July, another full moon with a lunar eclipse attached to that. So there is, if you think this ride is over, this is, we're in it, we're immersed in it. Our bodies are wanting to detoxify. We're needing to raise our vibration in accordance with the planet. We've also had a solar flare recently, which is, and I've only just discovered about solar flares, it's pieces of material coming off the sun. But there is an impact on the cellular level, and that's kind of what I'm interested in because we're looking at the physical body right now. The Schumann resonance, that is the heartbeat of the planet, is spiking like never before. Again, this is when you get the volcanoes erupting, the earthquakes, and all sorts of things happening in the world and on the planet. So again, it's the same thing. The whole planet is wanting to raise its vibration and bring it up. And whether you like it or not, this virus is an opportunity to clear the toxic load as well, because viruses can only survive in a certain environment, and that is a pretty toxic environment. And if you've watched any of my Facebook Lives before, the cell always has these 4 ingredients that need to be right. We need to have the right temperature, the right pH, the right oxygen levels, and the right levels of light. Now, when I was mentioning about the age of Aquarius just before, what that also means is we've moved fully into the photon belt. And what that means is a huge shedding of light into and onto the planet. And what this means is that the light creates a lot of movement within the body. What our cells want to do is to be able to trap and harness that light. We're a bit like a sort of solar powered battery. The problem is, if we are dehydrated and toxic, we affect the cell membranes. The integrity of our cell membranes suffers as a result. And let's sort of break this right down. Let's first of all look at hydration, because we're 70 to 80% fluid. We're 80% fluid in the brain. We need at least 2 litres of water a day. I would say in this hot weather, and with exercise, you probably need 2.5, maybe even close to 3. I don't know about you, but I can't even access my thirst right now. In other words, I am continually thirsty. And that's not necessarily a particularly good sign, because what it means is there needs to be a dance between the water in the body and the fats. So there's like a dance between the water needing the fats to be able to hold the water inside the cell, and the fats needing the water to be able to metabolize properly. So the two, dance together in the body. So the first place we always start is our hydration. We've got to switch off what I call dehydration alert. And like I said, probably we're looking at at least 3 litres of water a day. Never more than 2 pints or 1 litre in 1 hour, or you'll flood the kidneys. And systematically drinking the water throughout the day, but away from food. Obviously, if you need a few sips during your meal, that's absolutely fine. But spread it out through the day, and as soon as you wake up in the morning, have your pint of water, and make sure it's not icy cold, make sure it's warm or room temperature, so it's absorbed as quickly as possible. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to try to make sure the food you're eating has a really high water content. So you want a high level of vegetables and fruits in your diet. You can, in the winter, replace fruit and loads of vegetables with soups if you prefer. But if you don't feel like soups in this hot weather, which is absolutely fine, then lots of vegetables, salads and fruits with a high water content and lots of beta carotene. Lots of what we call carotenoids, the different colours that make up the vegetables, which is absolutely vital for trapping that light inside the cell. So it all works and fits in together. So we've got our 2 to 3 litres of water a day. We've got our 50% vegetables and maybe 2 or 3 pieces of fruit a day. Trying to obviously get organic if you can. I know it's tricky, but do the best you can. Having that as much as you can. So maybe 50% of your meals. So you really want them in your 2 or 3 meals in the day. You want half of that plate to be your vegetables, and making sure you've got the fruits. Have them in the form of a smoothie. Have them in the form of a vegetable juice. And then lighten up the rest of your diet. So simple light proteins, chicken, fish. You could have some eggs if you wanted, and some gluten-free grains, natural grains such as my favourite, short grain brown rice, bit of quinoa, bit of potato. Now that's your base. So really that's your base diet. Now if you're shoving in alcohol, if you're shoving in chocolate, if you're shoving in cigarettes, that is hard on your system, isn't it? It's super dehydrating. If you're shoving in loads of diuretics, coffee, tea, etc., it's super dehydrating. So really try to cut those right back. Even your herb teas are a bit dehydrating. They're diuretic, they push fluids out. So don't replace water for herb tea. Make sure you've got plenty of plain water. Try not to add squashes, fruit juices, bit of a waste of time. Go for the smoothie or the vegetable juice if that's what you want. So that's really the basics. Now, if you can stick with that and avoid processed food, and don't be fooled by all that gluten-free stuff that they're selling now. It's all processed. It's come out of a factory. So if you ever want to be sure, just go for the natural foods, the vegetables, the fruits, the chicken. Now, the thing is, the more dehydrated you are, the more toxic you are, the more you get food cravings or drink cravings. Because the more dehydrated and toxic you are, the more your blood sugar drops, and you need something to try to bring your blood sugar back up. So the problem is around the full moon is that is often the worst time to try to do a detox, because you're craving all sorts of things, whether it's coffee or chocolate or alcohol. If you can, do your best to try to avoid it, because a full moon with an eclipse on it, you're going to get a pretty strong hangover the next day if you're drinking loads of alcohol or overdoing the chocolate or coffee or whatever. So put those dates in your diary, pay attention to how you're feeling, be aware that the body wants to detox. And when it detoxes, your energy levels come up, you feel better, etc., etc. So the other thing to note is you want to look at the 4 routes of elimination for the body and really enhance your body's ability to clear its toxic load. So our biggest route of elimination obviously is the bowel. So what we're doing is we're looking at our hydration mainly. The diet I just said, things like the vegetables, the fruits, potatoes, for example, chicken, fish, are going to be really easy on the fluids. But if you are pulling on the fluids because your diet is not right, because you're under stress, because we've got a full moon with an eclipse about to approach, then you'll notice it typically in your bowel. You might strain to pass stools. You might have very loose stools. You may not even notice anything because you might be so used to your bowels being a certain way. So if you're not sure, give me a shout and we'll talk about it. So that's what's really beneficial for the bowel. We've also got the kidneys, of course. So we want to continue with the kind of diet I've just spoken about. That really helps the kidneys. And that's your hydration and avoiding the diuretics as much as possible. We've got the skin. So how can you really support your skin? Sea swimming. So what's fantastic about this weather, if you can get down to the beach, is the sand is exfoliating to the skin, which is detoxifying. And then we've got the lovely sea. About 13 degrees, I've managed to get in finally. Fantastic. It's going to massively detoxify your system. So a swim in the sea, an exfoliation in the sand is absolutely brilliant. If you can't bear the thought of either of those, then of course you can use your own body scrubs, particularly things like dry skin brushing is extremely beneficial. Not too often though, so a couple of times a week or the body gets used to it. And hot and cold showering. So if you can manage to do a nice warm shower, build it up to hot, and then a blast of cold, and swapping over a few times. So you can mimic the lovely sea swimming and the sand by doing it at home in the comfort of your own bathroom if you want to. And then we've got the lungs. So obviously proper breathing, meditation, yoga, any of these things that help the lungs clear is also good. So really opening up those routes of elimination. If you want to see me as a client, then of course we would go more into the naturopathic techniques, things like water enemas, coffee enemas, juicing, and they have a super detoxifying effect on the body, and this creates an even better elimination if that's what you need. Now, when the body becomes dehydrated and toxic, it puts a backlog on liver. So the next organ to suffer after bowel and skin, so if you've got any skin problems or bowel problems, the next organ to suffer will be liver. And liver is your master planner. It decides where your toxic load is going to go. Is it going to dump into the womb and you're going to have heavy periods, painful periods, cysts, fibroids, abnormal smear tests, etc.? Is it going to dump into the joints? So you've got achy knees. Are you needing a knee replacement, a hip replacement? Have you got aches and pains everywhere in your body? And that is liver dumping into the joints and sometimes into the muscles too. Are you getting headaches and migraines? Then obviously the toxic load is on the move. So liver has started really chucking out the toxins around the time you get the headache or the migraine, and it's impacting the nerves and the blood vessels, so constricting them and creating pain. But basically it's simple acidity. And when you think of a migraine, you know, it's like an enforced fast. You literally have to lie down and sleep it off. And that is literally what it is. By sleeping it off in a darkened room, the body can detoxify effectively and off you go again. But rather than having to succumb to something like a migraine, better to get underneath it by changing your diet and really addressing any health issues. So I'm just jumping on here for a short one this evening, just to inform you about the incredible powerful energies that are happening on the earth right now. There was a massive energy surge that started in December. We've moved fully into the age of Aquarius at the beginning of April. We've had massive planetary changes going on from January, Saturn and Pluto conjunction, which is the massive death and rebirth and the great teacher. So we've got a lot going on, guys. We really have. And then we've got Jupiter, who doesn't want you to hold back. It just wants to get out there. So as my mentor said earlier today, this is the best firework display we'll ever see. So basically it's a shaking up of our systems. It's a shaking up of the whole universe to raise the planet's resonance, vibration, and we are part of the universe, and we are made up of energy. We are vibration too, and we are being impacted that. And the more that we prepare our vehicle, open up our system, clear our toxic load, hydrate fully, help the liver to break down fats, stop eating all the junk fats like Let's think of the junk fats, crisps, chocolate, alcohol's obviously very damaging to the liver. Anything that's going to upset and disturb liver. Because once we've done the hydration, we really need to look after the fat metabolism in the liver. When you hear about a fatty liver, that is exactly the problem. What's happened is we are in such a dehydrated state that the liver has actually dumped cholesterol around the cell walls to protect the fluid inside the cell. And that is a protective thing. The problem is if we don't switch that dehydration alert off, we will only continue to build a very damaged fats picture that affects the cell membrane, the integrity of our cell walls. So we're really talking at cellular level. Our body is made up of billions of cells. So it's always about looking at the cellular level and how we can impact the body in a beneficial way at the cellular level. So we need the water to take the nutrients in and the rubbish out. And we need the liver to be working well to produce the fats correctly, to utilize them correctly, so that our cell membranes are the right kind of porosity and flexibility to be able to take the nutrients in and out. If we're dehydrated and toxic, we're going to have gunky cells and hardened cell membranes, okay? So we're not going to get this lovely cellular exchange so that we wake up feeling refreshed in the morning. So that's why our energy levels can drop, we can sleep really badly, we can have aches and pains and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's massive, guys. It really is. And if you're feeling the impact of this transition and this change and this raising of our vibration, or the raising of the planet's vibration, and if you're struggling with it and you need help, then get in touch. We can do a program together and get you on track to really restoring your health and getting you feeling fit and energized and inspired. It's not easy. I'm feeling it. Going through the menopause. So anybody's going through the menopause, any kind of hormonal change, your adolescent teenagers, pregnant women, massive hormonal change stirs up the toxic load, brings it up to the surface to be dealt with. So it's like our own firework display going on inside already with any kind of hormonal change. And then we've got all the stuff going on universally as well. So you can look at it negatively and feel miserable about it, or you can use it as an invitation to rebalance your system and really find your way forward, okay? So I haven't had any comments from anyone, but if you're struggling, do get in touch. I'm just checking to see if there's anything I've missed, but I think that's pretty much it. I think I've mentioned everything. We've got solar flares, Schumann resonance, which is the heartbeat of the planet, these spikes. We've got huge planetary activity. We've got 3 eclipses. So we've got 3 eclipses in June and the beginning of July. So this is massive. So really take care of yourselves, hydrate fully, adjust your diet as well as you can, and get in touch if you're needing any individual help. And know that, you can do it, and, you can feel amazing if you want to. It is a bit of a journey, but you can do it. So lots of love to you all. Hi Basil, hi Shona, hi Kevin, hi Becky, hi Kirsty. Vicky, I already said hello, I think. Lots of love to you guys, so nice to see you. And yeah, there's a big, massive stirring up, which is, hi Emma. There's a big, massive stirring up going on, and it's just to say that that's why I've jumped on, is if you're feeling any of the effects, headachy or any of those feelings, there is a very good reason why it's happening. And if you need extra help, just get in touch with me and I would be delighted to help you. Anybody who's just joined, you can watch the replay once this video has ended. All right, lots of love to you and take good care. It's a super stirring up time right now, I tell you. Bye for now.